Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to Keep It Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial free in about 30 minutes or less. We're going to jump right into weather because we got a lot to cover this morning. Election coverage, crime news, but also some pretty active weather.
Yeah, we do have active weather coming to the forecast area today. It's going to be a cloudy and cool day around the region, and we are going to be looking at numerous rain showers as well. Looking at your weather headlines, cloudy, cool, and showery on this Wednesday. A few showers may linger into Thursday, but today is definitely going to be the big showstopper when it does come to our weather headlines. Now, once we do progress past Thursday, we're going to open up the door for plenty of sunshine, and we will hold on to sunshine all the way through the weekend with warming temperatures. In fact, highs could get back to the 90s by Saturday. We'll talk more about all three of these weather headlines coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Yakima County. Sheriff's Office detectives are investigating a Monday night murder in rural Yakima County north of Maple Grove. Deputies responded after being told a 55-year-old man from the Sunnyside area had taken an ATV into an orchard to find a suspicious person, but was found dead a short time later. Law enforcement officers searched the area with drones and canines, but couldn't find that suspicious person. If you have any information on this murder, Yakima County Sheriff's deputies would like to hear from you. You can also submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers of Yakima County. And a Moses Lake man is sitting in jail after being arrested for attempted murder. According to the Grant County Sheriff's Office, a 27-year-old suspect tried to hit a man in the head with a handgun and then tried to shoot him during a confrontation last Friday night at a home near Cathy Drive. Officials say the gun was jammed, allowing the victim to escape before receiving treatment at a hospital for a head wound. Deputies say they searched for the 27-year-old all weekend and arrested him near Moses Lake during a traffic stop yesterday morning. He is facing assault, robbery, and attempted murder charges. Oregon State Police are investigating a violent incident aboard a passenger bus near Boardman. It happened just after 4 Monday afternoon on westbound Interstate 84. Oregon State Police tell us the 24-year-old was kicked off the bus after assaulting another passenger. He then got into a fight with the 64-year-old bus driver who ended up stabbing the man. 3 people were taken to area hospitals for treatment. And a Yakima woman has been sentenced for a hit and run that severely injured a pedestrian. Maisie Lee Tweeten was arrested in September of 2023 after her vehicle struck Justin Weeks on the 10 block of East Valley Mall Boulevard. Weeks was thrown over the top of Tweeten's vehicle and landed in the roadway. Tweeten then took off. Weeks was taken to Multicare for treatment and then transferred to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle and has suffered life-sustaining impacts. Tweeten was sentenced to 3 months in jail, followed by a year on community custody. Yakima firefighters, police, and the ATF are all investigating a suspicious fire and some vandalism to the ICE field office on River Road in Yakima. On Saturday, a small brush fire broke out on an empty lot near the ICE office. Roughly 5 minutes before the fire was discovered, a rock was thrown through a window at the ICE building. 3 people were inside at the time, but no one was injured. Yakima firefighters responded just after 12:30 p.m. and quickly put out the fire.
The fire burned up to the fence where ICE is on the other side, but it did not encroach on the property. The privacy mesh on the fence did burn, but that was the only monetary loss besides the homeless encampment.
Now, Representative Dan Newhouse issued a statement yesterday afternoon saying, quote, "This violence has no place in our political or law enforcement process." While arson has not been ruled out, it is not believed to be the cause of the fire, and no arrests have been made. Investigators say right now there's no indication the incident was politically motivated. A Sunnyside man has been sentenced to federal prison for selling meth. Jesus Elizar Burrieta Mendoza pled guilty earlier this year to possessing 50 grams or more of meth with the intent to distribute it. Prosecutors accused Mendoza and another man of arranging to sell 50 pounds of meth to a buyer who was a confidential informant working for Homeland Security. Mendoza was arrested after agreeing to sell the meth to that informant and has been sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Franklin County Sheriff's deputies need your help tracking down a porch pirate this morning. This picture is from the 7,000 block of Wernet in West Pasco. The theft victims say the 2 packages were stolen from their front door. Deputies are following up on a tip that the suspect might have been previously spotted in the Chiawana Park area. If you recognize this person or have any information about the theft, you can contact the Franklin County Sheriff's Office via their non-emergency number. And Kennewick police continue to search for a woman reported missing 5 years ago. Jessica Adams was last seen in August of 2020. Detectives with the Kennewick Police Department are still actively investigating this case and are asking the public for any information on her disappearance. No detail is too small, they say, and if you have any information about her, please contact Kennewick Police, also via their non-emergency line. On to some continuing coverage this morning of our fentanyl series, hearing from families who have been deeply impacted by the drug. KIMA's Anissa Williams heard the heartbreak and devastation families experience after losing loved ones.
I don't know what happened with my sister. I don't know why she got this, but I know she didn't plan on taking fentanyl. Yeah, she was scared of it. She was scared of it just because it took her friend's life. And she had kids and she had a family and she had friends. She didn't plan on dying, and she didn't plan on, having an overdose.
Mallory Green was the oldest of 5 siblings, and for Courtney Green, she was more than a sister.
She was honestly one of my best friends because we spent so much time together. We shared a room up until we were adults. She was a big goofball. She was always a jokester. She was an adventurous soul. She loved to travel. She loved to go to the beach. Cannon Beach was one of her favorite places, and she loved the mountains. And she was a big time Christian. She loved Christian concerts and she loved country music. I think more than anything, she loved her family and she loved her kids and she loved her friends.
Mallory died on January 22nd, 2021, just 8 days after her 33rd birthday. She left behind 3 young children.
She had a little girl and 2 little boys. I think it probably has been the hardest for the oldest one because literally they were best friends. Her and her son, they loved each other. They all loved their mom, but I think there was that special connection with her oldest.
Courtney says her sister wasn't addicted to drugs. She had fibromyalgia and had been taking prescription medication for years to manage the pain.
Nobody knew that she was going to go out and get something from somebody until the day that when she died and we found out she had fentanyl in her system. So, and I don't think my sister would ever get something like that.
But one night, Mallory unknowingly took a pill laced with fentanyl. Just one pill. 4 years later, the grief still lingers for Courtney and her entire family.
Because you're always reminded of that one person who's missing in your family. Holidays are not the same. Sorry, getting emotional. But I think the hardest too is just seeing her kids growing up without her, I think it's definitely increased depression among us siblings and my parents. And I know our friends were really devastated, but for us, it's hard because we still don't know why somebody would give that to her. We don't have the answers. When I got married, she wasn't there. And I think that was hard for my brother too when he got married. And then my mom, Mal, would come over and she would sit down on my mom's bed and watch TV with her. And right after she passed away, my mom told me that's hard to watch TV and just not imagine her sitting there watching TV with her.
Narcan was in the home that night, but her boyfriend didn't use it.
He said that he didn't think it was a real thing. He thought it was something that they just used on the cops' TV show.
Courtney shared her story to bring more awareness to Yakima, where her sister died, and where silence still surrounds fentanyl.
That's what's hurting people more, is not saying anything, not making people aware of it, not warning children enough about it. It's the family members that need to say something. You need to be the voice for your family member. They need to have you speak up about what happened to them. That's the only way we can change things for people in the future, too.
And Anissa Williams also spoke to another family affected by the crisis, a Washington mother who lost her 23-year-old son to fentanyl. She asked to remain anonymous, but she did allow us to share her words, her pain, and her son's story.
I always told him, drugs not going to win this battle. Your mom's going to win. And that didn't happen for him.
She raised 3 children the same way, but addiction found one.
It was just the friends he was hanging out with. Yeah, that was the only way he got it. I mean, he wasn't one to leave the house and go hang out at parties, or he wasn't out causing trouble. He just had an addiction. He, I believe, did it to numb himself.
She believes his pain began early, before anyone could see it. Things happened when he was younger: social anxiety, ADHD. At 17, it started with a pill, a friend, and it spiraled. That same year, he entered treatment for the first time. Over the years, he went to facilities in Washington, Oregon, and California. She was on the phone day and night, searching for help that felt impossible to find. Still, she never stopped. Then weeks after his death, a $170,000 bill arrived.
That is why a lot of people can't get help. I would pay 50 times over to have him here now, but that's a lot of money for 2 months. Back in the day when people had problem with coke and meth and stuff, that's 30 days might be okay, but fentanyl, they need to be in treatment a lot longer. There was a lot of loopholes we had to go through for him to stay longer than 28 days. And the other thing that was sad, some of the times he was ready to go, there was no place to send him. There was no beds available. And when you have somebody, especially your child that's ready now, you want to get them there now.
6 days after coming home from rehab, he was gone. That night, she called police, fearing the worst, even hoping they'd arrest him just to keep him safe. But they couldn't intervene unless he was violent.
My husband stayed up almost all night. He got up about 5, went to take a bath, and I jumped up just to go in to make sure that my son was okay, and he wasn't. He wasn't okay. I can't tell you the number of times my son told me, "I hate drugs, Mom. I don't want to do it, but I'm so sick. I'm so sick." We would drive down First Street, and I must always kind of had a look on my face because he would look at me and go, "Mom, they're no different than I am. I just have a family," which is true.
2 doses of Narcan didn't save his life. She recalls about 7 kids his age who died from fentanyl in the past 3 years. None were homeless. They had families. She wants people to know it can happen to anyone. At the time, his 2 older siblings never imagined this could happen to their little brother. There was always a divide among them. They couldn't understand why he used fentanyl.
But now they have guilt. They have guilt. You know, it's affected all of us a lot. Older brother and older sister. And he's got 3 nephews, and he would have just had a new niece.
Every day, his mother lives with guilt and countless what-ifs. She says the grief will never end, and a mother should never have to bury her son.
There's nothing that time is not going to help. I mean, we lost a piece of us, so we are empty, and nothing will ever fill that emptiness for us ever again. And if just one person hears me and it saves one child, it's worth it, because I don't wish this on anybody.
Okay, I'm Zanisa Williams. Thank you. And tomorrow we'll hear from first responders about how they're handling the fentanyl crisis in Yakima County. You can watch the full series up on our YouTube channel later this week. A recently released report from the Washington State Auditor's Office is raising some flags at the Port of Benton. The report says financial records are in good shape, but the port failed to submit records from economic development before they were due. Port leaders say they've now solved that issue.
The controls were hiring an outside firm, which we had already done. We actually do want to work alongside an outside firm, just again because of the volume and the nature of our grants. We have a lot of state and federal grants, and we want to make sure that we are in full compliance.
Now, port leaders say they appreciate the state auditor coming in to check things out, adding they're always looking for ways to improve security and efficiency. Fluoride has been in Pasco's water supply since 1998, and the city council continues to consider removing it from their supply. Now they're gathering public comment. The first public input session was last night, and if you missed it, a second session for public input will be Wednesday, September 17th in the city council chambers on 3rd Avenue. It'll be from 6 until 8 in the evening. And speaking of water management has been important to the Yakima Valley throughout its history. Some of the infrastructure is more than 100 years old. Hitting the centennial mark this year, the Titan Dam. KRMA's John Franklin toured the dam yesterday and tells us more.
We deliver about 2.5 million acre feet of water every year for agricultural communities.
Rimrock Lake is known for its scenic views and recreational opportunities, but on the east tip of the lake is a 100-year-old dam.
The Titan Dam was built without modern machinery. If you can imagine some of the infrastructure that reclamation built, it's just so impressive to think how they did it back then without technology and machinery that we have today.
The dam was built in 1925, but an act from 123 years ago set the stage for the project.
The Reclamation Act of 1902 that built YTID and the Titan Dam really just provided the lifeblood to the valley.
The dam's head engineer was Frank Crow.
Why is Frank Crow special? He worked on a lot of dams. This was one of his first. Most notably, The only one I don't have multiple copies of, the picture here, is actually from Hoover Dam.
Construction started in 1917, but some roadblocks hindered the project.
But World War I interrupted that progress. The war ended in 1918, but along with that came a post-war period of instability, economic uncertainty, and unreliable funding, especially for these public work projects in rural areas like this.
The mighty dam has stood for 100 years this year, with very little issue, but its age may be a problem soon.
The Yakima project, the Sunnyside Canal, the Tieton Division, all of these were part of conquering deserts and building communities, but this is more than a century old, this infrastructure is.
KMA's John Franklin, thank you. The energy that the Tieton Dam generates is servicing folks out in Burbank, California. But with that, we're going to jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan and talk the weather, because speaking of water, we have quite a bit of rain heading our way, it appears, at least on the Doppler radar.
Yes, as of the time of this recording, we are looking at rain falling across parts of our forecast area. Some pretty hefty rain has already been observed in parts of Yakima and Kittitas counties this morning, and it is Yakima and Kittitas counties that will be faced with a brunt of the precipitation for today. Now, some showers are going to be moving through the Tri-Cities, or will at least be possible in the Tri-Cities today. Some shower potential for the Blue Mountain foothills as well. But again, it really is Kittitas County and Yakima County that will be facing a brunt of the precipitation on this Wednesday. Looking at the Storm Tracker Futurecast, we're just going to let this roll through until this afternoon and this evening. By about your 6 o'clock hour, you still can see spotty showers in our forecast area. Best opportunities for rainfall will be maintained for Kittitas and Yakima counties, but we can't totally discount some raindrops for the Columbia Basin as well as for the Blue Mountain foothills. Now let's just talk about what is to come in terms of temperatures. It is going to be an abnormally cool one across the area on this hump day. High temperatures this time of year should be in the upper 80s to mid 90s, but instead we're only going to be looking at temperatures today in the upper 70s to low 80s for the Tri-Cities. I would say mid to upper 70s seem appropriate in the Yakima Valley today, low to mid 70s in the Kittitas Valley, with upper 70s to low 80s for the Blue Mountain foothills. Everybody today will see clouds overhead, again with those chances of some showers. In terms of winds, today is not going to be a terribly windy day by any stretch of the imagination, just a bit breezy in spots. As we go into Thursday, wind for most of us will increase by a few miles per hour, but in the Kittitas Valley tomorrow, we could see gusts all the way to 40 miles per hour. Now, what I will say is that on Thursday, we are going to start a general drying trend, but temperatures are going to be staying cool, with highs only ranging in the mid 70s to low 80s. By Friday, though, all of us will be getting back to sunshine with high temperatures mainly in the low to mid 80s, maybe upper 80s on Friday in the Tri-Cities. And then by Saturday, we do welcome back some summer-like heat with sunshine, with high temperatures ranging in the mid 80s to low 90s. Right now, I'm going to toss it back over to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. It's been a strong harvest year for fruit in the Yakima Valley. It's been a strong harvest year for fruit in the Yakima Valley, especially for cherries, peaches, plums, and apricots. Though with many growers across the region cutting back on planting and the market continuing to shift, some farmers are asking, are customers still showing up? KMA's Anissa Williams caught up with the owner of Fruit City and tells us more.
Fruit season this season's been incredible for our family. We've been here 59 years, family operated. Mom and Dad started this place in 1966. We've got a great following. The locals call us the boys because they've seen my brother and I literally grow up as little kids in here.
Last year, in early 2024, a hard frost hit in late January and early February, which damaged many soft fruit trees. As a result, only about 20% of the usual soft fruit crop was harvested. While vegetables were still available, the fruit supply was extremely limited.
For 2025, we had a beautiful winter and spring. Didn't get a lot of cold nights, which was grateful for the fruit trees. There's a very abundance of fruit this season, but finding the quality of big fruit is the biggest core this year. But with us at Fruit City here, we're all about finding big, good quality fruit from a lot of small farmers.
Lynn says when it comes to this industry, buy locally. But it's not just about volume, it's about variety.
Growing up in this industry, being a young kid in this valley, you had a certain amount of fruit that was available. When I was going to junior college, there was 2 pluots, which is a plum apricot, and now there's over 40 varieties of them. Therefore, people are after these new varieties. They want to taste something different.
Fruit City is also focused on keeping prices fair and high-quality produce from the Yakima Valley.
When you walk out of here, the only piece of number 2 fruit we sell is a stewed tomato, because you do not need a fancy tomato to make your salsa. That's the grateful thing about our community. They know good fruit. When it comes to warehouse fruit, they pick it a little too green to ship all over the country. Us locals know what true fruit should taste like.
And with fewer young people entering farming, Lynn says that makes the work they do and the support they get all the more meaningful.
We've got the craziest following, and I'm so grateful for our Yakima Valley community. I'm so blessed to be here, and that's what keeps us rocking and rolling. The community from this Yakima Valley keeps my family in business, and we want to say thank you.
Okay, I'm Mason East Williams. Thank you. And as the growing season rolls on, Fruit City's steady crowd suggests that even as the industry shifts, the demand for fresh local fruit remains strong. Fruit City will be open 7 days a week from now until the end of October. And with that, on to the main event. Last night was primary election night, and there are several races and a few measures on ballots in our area. A reminder, though, for the races, the top 2 candidates with the most votes will move on to the November general election. Any measures were decided yesterday. Let's get to the results after the first vote count, and we're going to start in Kennewick, where there are 3 city council positions on the ballot. In the 3-candidate race for position 1, it's looking like current council member Jason McShane and Austin Miller will be squaring off in November. For position 3, John Trumbo has been on the council since 2014 and has 2 challengers. He has a solid lead, but the race for the second spot in November is pretty close. Warren Hughes has a 2-point lead over Douglas Perez. For position 4, there are 3 candidates, including Brad Clippert, who served in the Washington State House of Representatives for 14 years. He has a solid lead with 68% to Gloria Tyler Baker's 26%. And now on to Richland, where there are 4 positions for the Richland City Council on the ballot, where Sandra Kent is running for re-election for position 3. She's got 2 challengers who both have big leads over her. It's looking like Pat Holton and Robert Walco will square off in November. On to the race for position 4, where Ryan Luxon is not running for re-election, so a new council member will be elected in November. There are 3 candidates, and so far it's looking like it'll be John Meyer and Donald Landsman in November. For position 6, Kurt Meyer is seeking re-election. He's leading with 45% of the vote. Kyle Saltz is in second with 39%. And in position 7, current council member Ryan Witten has 3 challengers. Witten has the lead after the first vote count with Colin Michael in second place. The Kennewick School Board has 1 race on the ballot. It's for District 1. Micah Valentine wants another term. He got 55% of the vote with Robert Franklin in second at 39%. Prosser City Council has a position on the ballot as well. Position 2 has 3 candidates, including Bill Jenkin, who served 2 terms in the State House and was president of the school board. After the first vote count, Jenkin and Vince Glasscock have the most votes, with Jackie Kimball in third with 15% of the vote. Benton County Fire District 1 also has a levy on the ballot. It's asking for voters to approve a 22-cent increase for every $1,000 of assessed property value to help with rising costs of their operations. After the first vote count, voters are supporting this measure with 59% of the vote. The only ballot race for Franklin County is in Connell for the mayor's spot. There are 3 candidates, which include 2 current council members, Shelley Harper and Pat Barrera. It's looking like they'll square off in November. On to Walla County, where there's a sales and use tax proposal to fund emergency communications. It calls for a 0.2% sales tax increase, which is about 20 cents per $100. Voters are overwhelmingly supporting this tax increase, with 64% voting yes. And sticking in Walla County, Waitsburg residents are choosing who will be on the November ballot to fill the mayor's seat. Current Mayor Marty Dunn has a commanding lead with 76% of the vote. Behind him, Brad Sandaw with about 19%. We're going to head over to Yakima now, where the race for the county coroner is going to be the same in November as well. Marshall Slight and Dan Williams are squaring off in the primary. After the first vote count, Slight has a big lead, but since there are just 2 candidates, Slight and Williams will also be on the November ballot. And we're going to head over to District 4 for Yakima City Council, where current Councilwoman Janice Decio has 3 challengers. After the first vote count, it's Juliet Potrikis, who by far has the most votes. Decio is in second by a solid margin, so it's looking like it'll be Decio and Potrikis squaring off in November. In Granger, there's one city council position on the ballot. This is for position 3, where Ryan Stoney Stonemetz wants another term. He also has 2 challengers. After the first vote count, Stonemetz takes the lead, followed by Juan Johnny Isidoria in a close second, and Sylvia Zarate not far behind. In the city of Mapton, Rachel Rulos wants another term. She has 2 challengers, first-time candidate Martha Gonzalez and former Mayor Laura Vasquez. Rulos is in a distant third, so it looks like she won't be on the November ballot. The Yakima School District also has a couple of board member positions on the ballot. The first one is for position 1, where Graciela Villanueva is not running for re-election. There are 3 candidates, and right now it's looking like Pam Shelton and Esperanza Lemos will be on the November ballot. Now to position 2 for the Yakima School Board, where current board president Ryan Beckett is hoping for another term. He has 2 challengers. Right now, Beckett has the lead with Jonathan Babcock in a solid second place. The Sela School Board has 4 candidates for position 1. The winner in November will be replacing Jamie Morford, who isn't running for re-election. As of last night, Larry Patching and Katrina Henkel are the top 2 vote getters. Voters in Grandview will be electing a new school board member in this election cycle. It's a multi-county race with voters in Benton and Yakima County making the choice. Current District 5 board member John Trey Green isn't running for re-election. There are 3 candidates, with Elena Olmsdale taking the lead, followed by Amanda Rodriguez, a distant second, and Cecilia Yamas Norega taking the final spot. The Sunnyside School Board also has an opening. 3 candidates are hoping to move to the general election in November, but it looks like Elvistro Salas III and Laura Galvin will be facing off in November. In Kittitas County, the Ellensburg City Council has 3 positions on the ballot. The first one is position 1, where current Councilwoman Nancy Lilquist is seeking another term. John Sinclair has the lead right now, but Lilquist is in second. Now to position 2, where Nancy Goodlow also wants another term. She has 2 challengers, but has a commanding lead with Aaron Smith in second. On to position 3 for Ellensburg City Council. Councilmember Delano Palmer is seeking another term and has 2 other opponents in the primary. After the first vote count, it's looking like Palmer and Sam Ezel will be opponents in November. And finally, we head to we talk about the levy lid lift for healthcare services for Kittitas Valley Healthcare to provide hospital and other healthcare services. Now, the levy calls for an increase of 75 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. After the first vote count, voters are supporting this measure with 53% of the vote. Sticking in Kittitas County, Fire District 7 also has a levied lid lift on the ballot to provide funds for fire protection, emergency medical service, and new equipment, as well as firefighter safety. This would raise property tax by $1.25 for every $1,000 of assessed property value. Right now, voters are saying they overwhelmingly support this measure. And a reminder, more votes will be counted over the next several days, so these results are not final. Plus, there are some other races that we haven't mentioned. Be sure to head over to our website for updated results as more votes are counted. But that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites. That's Keeper and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody.